right at the end of the tunnel down the road. So.
My thought of shut the lights off and disconnect the phone, we can't do.
Right.
We are very fortunate, and Chris isn't here this evening, our facilities gentleman, but we pre-bought on oil in the past. So far, knock on wood, we're not, running in the red there. We've done minimal updates and expenses. I mean, we have to maintain your buildings and stuff. We are working very successfully with the town of Belfast for the purchase and sale of our Superior Courthouse. And in transitioning that, we will have a registry of deeds down in what used to be the old probate. And our DA's office will be up where the old EMA office was. And the funding to do that is the final amount of funding that we had from the ARPA funds. So thank God, I mean, that's one thing that isn't costing us. We did, it was a large solar project that you came up with out at the garden.
Yeah, we did, actually, we had 7 million in ARPA funds. And almost all of it was, one thing, we changed boilers to gas instead of oil. That's all it was ARPA. We've been build a new emergency management building out to the garden, along with another storage building. That was all ARPA funds. So this 7 million, I think Dale was telling me, Dale Raleigh, the other day, was down to like maybe 40 or 50,000 unaccounted for, that we don't have to know. We don't know what we're gonna do with it, but we'll find a home. We put in solar on the sheriff's office and then solar on the building out there also. So that was 7 million that the taxpayers of Waldo County don't have to take on. That's a big thing for the smaller county.
And the solar projects, both at the sheriff's office and at the county garden, any extra that comes off of that goes off the power bills on these other buildings. So we've actually seen, believe it or not, once it came online, so a bit of a savings. Do you know what I mean? But so as I say, and like I told you out of the gate, I don't know how Belfast does it, and I'll probably pick on you a lot asking you, Mary, but we take a TAN note out January 1st to operate the county. And historically in the past, we borrow between 12 and 20,000 to pay back that interest. And last year we had budgeted 19,000. The year before it was 20. And January 2nd, when we signed on the TAN note, we were advised that the interest was then locked in at 265,000. So it's kind of like that kick in the stomach day two. Like Commissioner Shorey said, we are self-insured, self-funded, the county is. We started that 12 years ago.
Yeah.
12 years ago, we were asking a budget committee for 1.2 million for health insurance. And we've managed, like Bill said, some years it was a 3% increase. Several years we kept it flat funded.
Yeah.
But at this point, I think it's 1 million. Again, I'd have to look.
1.2.
1.2 million. So we're caught back up to where we were 12 years ago.
But the positive thing of that statement is that we're at 1.2 was a self-funded insurance program. This year, if we weren't self-funded out on the road, on the market, we'd probably be paying 2 million.
Oh,
And maybe more.
No, easily. So
You
I mean,
probably know that, Tim. Yeah.
we certainly are proud of our insurance, the health insurance and the employees and everything else. We've done due diligence. We have an extraordinary wellness committee, you know, and everything else. But I mean, just like everything else, it's like, oh my God.
And it's no easy thing to keep an insurance program going with 96 employees. My daughter works for the University of Maine. Her division has 4,000 individuals in a self-funded program. That's a big difference when you want to increase, you have 96 people.
Yeah.
Where do you go? You know, maybe bad spot.
But so that's
Betty, you have any comments?
Well, the only thing I have to say is that, we didn't increase over the years very much, if we did any, and finally it's come back to bite us. And,
well, yeah.
We do have to increase, it is what it is, but, we're being as fearful as we can be.
For any of the new members, Mary, Robin, and Tim, in your budget binders that you're given, these folks do an extraordinary job putting them together and rely on these senior members that have been here. But one of the first sections that you'll come to is the comparison sheet. And what that does is it breaks down each of the departments and what the increase is in them. That would be under budget summary, Robin. And you know, as I say, you go down through some of them and it's like, oh my goodness, a lot of them we can easily explain, but I mean, that's exactly what they are. Yeah, Robin needs a drink of water at this point, yeah. Also, our finance director, Carrie, has passed out, did you pass out to all of these folks?
Not that sheet,
Okay,
no.
but you're given what's called the appropriation report,
I will give that to you right now.
and
Just take one.
that breaks down every department. Starting with the first number, which is 1010. So in your book, it would be 1010. And your appropriation report will show how much each department was allocated for a certain line and where they are expenditure wise currently. So that way you have a year to date, you know how things are expended.
Commissioner.
Well, yeah, I think we just need them to elect the
Yeah,
chair.
we would do it. The floor is open for nomination for the chair.
Anybody have any experience?
He does. So does Shake.
Right, I have budget experience, but being brand new, I don't want to be a chair of the committee. I would nominate you, but I stop with I'm bad with names.
Oh, me too.
Yes.
None of us are any good at names. This is Tom Wagner and this is Linda Pace.
Tom and Linda, which of you wants it more?
She does.
Linda.
The proper way to say it would be which of you wants it
I'm gonna make a nomination for Tom.
There you go, yeah.
No, we nominate him chair. Sorry, Tom.
I'll second that.
Okay, a vote has been made and seconded.
Jonas calls out sick on Tuesday, I understand.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing that, is that a nomination?
Yes, it is.
We have a nomination for Linda. Do we have a second?
You
I'll
don't need
second.
a second for, nomination.
Oh, well then forget it. Okay. So now we're gonna play this game and don't make this drag on all night, folks. We're gonna run out of cookies. We have two extraordinary senior members here.
I
So
will tell you up front, my knowledge of Robert's rules is Not good.
Well, that's okay.
That's not a.
Betty's up on it, so currently we have 2 nominations on the floor. I think nominations should cease. Seeing none, let's take a vote. All of those in favor of Tom Wagner as chair, please raise your hand.
We don't get to discuss this.
No, you're new.
That's,
No.
that's a majority.
Okay,
That's a majority. They've moved on.
We've all voted
Yep.
for Tom.
Oh, okay, so
Sorry, Tom.
I guess we end it there. That means I have to you bring cookies next week and I'll have to bring the things.
Yeah.
Tom, thank you.
You're gonna have to guide me because I don't have a clue.
That's right, there's your assistant, right there. So at this point,
Don't do it that way.
at this point, it is, these are the budget committee's meetings. We are here to answer any questions, help you out. Barb is extraordinary and will schedule everything that you folks want. I think she handed you all a mileage sheet when you came in. But I think the next thing that we had down, Tom, was the budget process overview. I believe we've gone over
Yeah,
that.
just follow that down.
Now, the budget committee, okay. And again, I'll introduce to you folks, our finance director, it's Carrie Hunt. She comes to us with 20 plus years of experience in municipal government. We stole her from another town and we are more than grateful.
We're not giving her back.
That's right, no, even days that she looks like she wants to quit, we won't let her. But she is doing an extraordinary job, but please know, she is, what, 4 months into this?
Yeah. We're happy you have her.
3 months into this, yet Tim is still a little bitter, it might have been his town. But so bear easy on her, but she's right up to speed, so Perry, I guess you're gonna explain to
The floor is yours, Tom.
yeah.
So projected revenue, should be one of your tabs. I just took 5 years of information or projected revenue and averaged it out. Still being new, trying to get a feel of what our revenue looks like, and I thought the best way to do it this year was to take a projected average of those numbers.
Okay.
And if you have any questions, I am more than happy to obtain the information for you and bring it to the next meeting if you prefer,
Or they can call the office.
or they, yes.
Yep.
All gonna be sorry.
So I mean, at this point, Carrie's showing what looks to be an increase in projected revenue for next year. But just like the rest of you, I'm always nervous on anything projected because but I appreciate the way that you came across this.
Could I ask, the sheriff's department line, is that true or is that a misprint and it's supposed to be in the next line down in general fund interest?
They went from 3,000 carry to 82,132.
Misprint?
Could it possibly be the next line down? I think she's right.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Robin. Good eye. It's a little shocked thinking, oh, there. Carrie, could you explain miscellaneous income?
No.
Okay.
She used to do that to us too.
Yeah, right, but I appreciate that answer. I'm trying to think, would that be like detail?
Is that like common ground or like?
What,
they
yeah.
do
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Right at the
It
fort
could-
maybe, or
that's what I'm
That's been
thinking.
all going under, that's all been going under sheriff's department to. I wanna vet out some more information before I give you solid answers on what stuff is and look into it.
Okay, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Thank you. Thank you, great, now she's gonna quit.
You can't do worse than what we did at our last town meeting.
Figures.
You don't have to bring that up, Tim.
Sorry.
Really, just.
If-
You were
If you
selected.
wanna put in a complaint,
Does-
you're
does-
still one of my
Does,
taxpayers.
does she swear at you and throw things?
Well, her daughter is one of my employees, so one way or the other,
So
I'm
she
sure.
swears at you and
Yeah,
throws things, okay.
absolutely.
The daughter does, let's make
Right.
that clear.
This'll
her
work out
daughter
good.
does.
Yes.
So Carrie will get better explanation. Carrie, I did not mean to put you on the spot on
That's
that.
okay, we're great.
So we need explanations on those two lines.
And there's no projected need for office rental income or need, bad choice of words. Where,
No, so where the deeds was going, there was another organization that was in that facility, and it's my understanding that they have left and, it's good,
Do we lose some of that income with that, with them leaving?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you'll save that hopefully in the end, Tim, because we won't be heating the Superior Court building anymore. We'll be moving them over to here. You know what I mean? Because that's where deeds is gonna go.
and does that come under facilities as far as the superior, like, is this set up by building in facilities? So
No,
we
all the
can't-
buildings will be under facilities.
Right,
Is where you'll find all of those under 1030.
yep, that's
Yep.
where I was, so, okay. So the Superior Court building, we should see a corresponding decrease in projected expenses
Our,
in
our
that building.
we are working with the city of Belfast. The city of Belfast is purchasing the Superior Court building from us, which only makes sense. The two buildings there. And they'll take, I believe, full possession of it. March 31st. Yep, so I mean, from March 31st on, and if we could do any better than that, we certainly will try to do whatever we can.
So I hate to ask, but our total jail budget is capped. And it's going up 15.92%.
That's correct. So
Does that include all of the boarded out,
does that include what, sir?
all of our boarded out inmates?
That is due to boarded out inmates, and the expenditures that we have to do. And because we are such sticklers,
Yep.
With these. Every one of us, I think, have talked to the sheriff and the jail administrator. And then talked to other counties with jails and said, "Did yours go up like this?" And we're not alone. We
The
are.
difference too, Tim, is that in the jail account and going up, you had a deal with Knox.
Yep.
We could trade some people from Knox up to here and some from here down there. And we had really a pretty decent deal but we couldn't continue it because Knox was having a problem and they couldn't even staff a jail. So we went to do bridges, and two bridges about a couple $100,000 more. That's why it shows up. And at $200,000 more, it's less than anybody else that we could have in the state, because we tried Somerset and some other places along the way.
I remember I was running your bar system on nights, so I guess my question was more towards if it included the boarded out and then the boarded in,
Yes,
and do we have an income for the boarded in?
we aren't boarding any in. Oh, are you referring to the reentry gentleman?
Yeah, because that's how we were able to do
At
swaps.
this point in time, the reentry folks are all from county facilities. We're not doing state
Right.
inmates anymore. So when,
Down the road a few months, I'm on the committee they're working to try to regionalize 4 jails. Hopefully, if we can do that, there'll be some savings that will show up. And we're just in the process of getting that system underway now, and that's why that we had such a good deal with Knox, because we could try to kind of trade people back and forth, and it didn't have to be actual hard dollars and cents.
Right. Yeah, I remember because I was working for Knox in 22,
Yeah,
so. I was just wondering if there was an actual income line for any boarded out.
We aren't
schools.
generating any income.
no,
Yeah,
Okay.
but truthfully, Tim, we're trying to. We're strong believers in find your need, value and worth in a system, and when you have. When we stick with the prosecutorial district that we're in, which is Waldo, Knox, Lincoln and Saginaw. We have one flagship facility, you know, which is Two Bridges Regional Jail in Wiscasset, which is where all the inmates go. And currently Knox's facility is female and mental health issues.
Mhm.
So a female inmate or somebody with a mental health issue would go there and then wear the reentry.
Right.
So we're all trying to find our placement in this. So it seems as though we're taking people for nothing. That's what I kept having in my head. But then it's like, Bill's right, if we're all gonna work in this system together, if they're gonna take all of the females and the mental health issues down in Knox and Two Bridges is gonna take the lion's share, this is our part of it.
Right. I was just wondering, because when we were in there, we were taking inmates from everywhere.
Yep.
So I was
Yeah.
just wondering if there was a line. for-
Yeah, no, dominantly, we were taking them from the state in the
Sure.
past.
Oh, yeah, we took
we're
the state for
trying to
years.
focus on now in this,
Taking care of them.
regionalization deal we're talking with. We're trying to focus on that they'll all have people that come to Belfast eventually. But right now, it's, too early in the game to put your foot down and say you're gonna do this, this and this. We kinda have to lead them into it, but we can hold 32 people up here, and I think we're probably 14 to 15
Right.
at the
Right.
moment. So there's room to improve that situation. And the Two Bridges is about the only game in town that's somewhat competitive on price, so
Oh, yeah,
they're,
and they have a state art facility.
Yeah,
so-
there,
yeah.
there.
So,
Nice. So room for 32, does that mean all reentry center 32 people or,
Yes.
right?
right,
So we wouldn't have some people as part of the reentry center, the whole facility is dedicated. to
basically that
reentry.
whole part of the facility up there is designated just for the reentry
Right.
part of it. And they have to meet a certain criteria based on LSIR on whether or not they fit into that facility. I just wanted to make sure that if there was other people, from other counties that weren't part of those four, the places in this district, that there might have been an income line for it.
Well, when we first became a reentry, we took dominantly state inmates, cause I mean, the state wasn't stupid.
It was
Yeah,
supposed to be
no,
one state, one system, yeah.
If we could send them there, we would, but at this point, we're trying to kind of like taking care of your own.
Yeah.
You know, in our counties, and like Mr. Parker said, I mean, we can hold, what, 5 in our
Yeah,
jail, 72-hour hold. Otherwise than that, we can take up to 32 and
because the other problem that exists in the state of Maine now, we got a ton of people and tons, I'm talking about hundreds, that have been going through the
Pre-trial.
court system, but they haven't been put in the proper place that they should be yet, and they're just kind of in the middle. We can't take them until it is judged what they're doing and how it's gonna work out. And that's, I think it's like that's something
that's
like
the problem
180 people that were falling out.
Throughout the whole state.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big problem.
In other words, it's an expensive game that we're all in, and it's not gonna get any cheaper.
Well, it also seemed like it was when COVID first came, there was an extreme measures to keep everybody safe,
Yeah,
which was very costly,
incredibly costly.
incredibly costly. And
yeah,
I mean, I was there up until 21, 22 when I left, but I mean, we spent a lot of money on PPE and just keeping people safe. And the idea of keeping people, you know, making them wait,
Isolated. No,
you know, you get one case of COVID and you're talking about a serious
yeah,
healthcare issue.
gonna
So
get you.
unfortunately, we're all kind of the first point of contact when people get their tax statements. So when they see that the county and the school budgets are going up, and then
oh yeah,
then there's your town part. It's easier for me to defend things going up because everything has gone up, even my own personal business stuff, so I can't imagine the stress that you guys are under. And ladies. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Well, historically in the past, I think we've had years of what, 2% increase, 3% increase. I think we arm wrestled one year, it was 5.
Yep.
And I mean, we've taken great pride in that. but Commissioner Johnson's right. One of the things when with our health insurance, you know, it's like, we don't want to bring it up. We don't want to put the number up. And we probably should have. We should have added a little more to it each year. But we didn't. So that's our own fault. But otherwise than that, I mean, trust me, when we put the budget together and looked at it, all of a sudden, and it easily can be explained, just one that sticks out, technology, 1035, it's an increase of 159%. What? So we have the most extraordinary IT director, Jason Bailey, who we have run ragged all over everywhere, let alone just the COVID nightmare, but I mean, just everywhere. And he has to deal with all of the Spillman, which is all of your area departments that utilize Spillman and everything else. And finally, because he ripped all his hair out, you can see, he needed help. So we did, we have a part-time, IT person to help him. That wasn't in the budget. So therefore, that increased his budget. And then this year in trying. And again, I'd be very curious to talk to you how Belfast does it, but this year, we kept thinking when there's technology problems with the phones, we deal with Jason or we deal with Ray, the part-time IT person. So we said, oh my God, forget it. We're putting the phones under IT. So all of a sudden, there's an increase in that budget that you never saw. So I mean, everything in here, we can explain. It's either been shuffled differently or we've added on, but I don't know.
I got a question. Or I got a bunch of questions.
What paper are you looking at?
Yeah, most of these are procedural. Do we have to make a motion to accept this?
Good question.
That is a good question, and
What was it?
he asked if they need to make a motion to accept the projected revenue. And I would say no for now, just because Carrie is very
Just to
interested.
Make some changes, yes,
Yep.
okay, good.
And then the others, remember, any motions that you make on, like if you say, okay, 10-10, make a motion we accept as it is. But remember, nothing is locked in stone. This is just
Brings up another question.
Right.
Is this an accept or reject on this, or can we make a motion for less or more?
I wouldn't think that anybody would make motions for anything tonight.
Right, I'm just asking.
Right, that you may discuss, you know, that you think that, but I wouldn't make a motion to make it stick.
I don't know, and I'm gonna talk for Waldo, because Waldo was what I know. Our taxes went up this year between 40% and 50%. And school budget, county went up between 6% and 7% last year.
Right.
And I voted no on the snowplow contract this year because they went up almost another 10%.
Right.
We can't do it. So, and I'm not trying to be cruel or anything, but
So your correspondence said, you know, he went to 0%.
right,
You know.
and 18% is a long
Right.
way. And I get it. I get it, but, and this is what I told the other selectmen, at some point in time, regardless of consequences, you gotta say no. Because you can't do it, because what you do rolls down onto the towns, what we do rolls down onto the people, and I've already got my ass chewed. And I don't apologize for that, because I got my ass chewed for the increases. And you tack this on, and to the other things that I know. School budget, we're gonna secede from the union. We just can't do it. But we're gonna lose the people in the town of Waldo who have lived there all their lives because they can't afford it.
I haven't even seen the school budget. Well, I'm in Palermo now, so I'm not.
In the town of Unity, we have a charter school if you want to send them to us.
I think every town.
The school budgets, and see, that's the worst part now.
Yes.
And we've been down the road, we've done the good fight, so you go down and you vote the budget down. And then you go back 2 weeks later and you vote the budget down again, and then you go back 3 weeks later and rotten thing passes. And it's worse than it was on the first one.
Oh,
And I think that you bring up a really good point, because you look at towns, I'll use an example, I don't know if there's anybody. Jackson. Jackson is struggling to find people to even plow their roads.
So are we.
Right, and you look at grading this year, grading
got
has been
one.
horrible.
Yeah, I mean, we only.
I
get
only bring that
one-
up and I know
one
that you
bid.
laugh.
I mean,
Brooks?
to me, that's kind of, no, Lincolnville, but,
Okay,
you know, we have a contract, but
Right.
you get one bidder.
I
So
felt sorry
it's
for the
whatever.
town. But
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
Brooks had hired in the past Works
right,
Construction,
Yeah,
to do their grading. And somebody in the town said, oh, we've got to put it out for bid. Well, Works Construction is a private company. They put it out for bid and John said,
Yep.
I'm not submitting. And they went all summer long, basically, and their roads were crap. And he said he'd never submit another bid. I know John, I'd seen him out there at 9 o'clock. So people are saying no,
Yeah.
so we have to be careful and by and large, we can say no.
and you know, my experience, like with the 9 towns and the 60-something cemeteries. If I go to a selectman and I'm like, hey, cost of living this year is 7. We're looking at a projected 3 to 4 increase for next year for cemetery municipal mowing. That's reasonable. They're gonna be like, we understand. But when you get hit with, like for us. We just signed a contract for 100,000 more for plowing starting this year, a year. And it's like, we got chewed pretty good last town meeting over that. She was still with us at the time, but. Like, there was a lot of people that were upset about spending 100,000 more a year, every year for the next 3 years, like, than what you're used to spending. A lot of people really
yeah.
are struggling.
because you're negotiating with a terrorist at that
Well,
point, you know what I mean? Like,
it
what do you
is.
do?
You
It
don't
is.
have any choice.
Yeah.
You don't have any choice.
Oh,
But like I said, at some point.
I-
No,
Right.
As I say, we totally, yeah. I mean, I've done actual research on a couple of these areas within our budget that I know won't save us or anything like that, but all of a sudden I done a lot of soul searching on soil and water. What are they, what?
What do you
And
do?
the University of Maine Extension. Again, I don't think it's gonna save the community a whole fortune, but all of a sudden I found myself saying to my commissioners, like, so wait a minute. If we're spending the money, how are you folks benefiting from it? How are the people that aren't here at these meetings benefiting from some of these programs? And I couldn't find a lot.
It's absolutely broken.
Well, I'll give an example, Waldo Cap.
I'm just gonna say that.
Waldo Cap came, I'm gonna go there, and my wife, when I get home, I will be in trouble. Same way from Lincolnville. I'm sorry.
I have no idea what he's about.
Personally, from many years back.
I'm
way
sorry
back.
too. All right, so last year for budget committee, they came to us and they asked. For $21,000. And I asked them to give us a comparison of your town. And they couldn't. And I asked them if they could give me a reason for the increase, and they couldn't. I asked them, you know, my one town out of the 24 others in one city. Well, I just want to make sure that my tax people are paying their piece of the pie. So what is the rest of the increases? And they just couldn't give me information. And I kept on asking them, because they gave us a sheet of all their increases, and there was like a 30 something for miscellaneous. So like, we instantly cut it down. In that town meeting, we had some representatives that came and gave us more information. And we ended up compromising and giving them around 6. We would give around 2,500-ish, but they couldn't give us a true comparison to a town of similar population, Lincolnville. you guys are around 21, right? 2100-ish.
We were closer to 27, but
I think that you're closer to 21 because we're around 23. So,
oh, no, yeah, it's like 2374. I think that's where the 7 was in my
So,
head. But
don't ask me why I
So
know
we
that,
were-
but,
okay, yeah.
That's a good study, though.
and obviously the demographics are different. You have people that are more away than we do. We have college kids when we have a full-time college. But I wanted to know the actual comparison, apples to apples, and they couldn't give you one. And we compromised, but you know, it's those kind of conversations because Waldo Cap does do a lot. And even my daughter goes to Head Start in Belfast because I am from Belfast, I'm a Belfast native. But it's really hard because someone that's grown up here, I honestly could not imagine living here with the way things are costing. I mean, even my parents' house on Waldo Ave, when they bought it in '99, was 125,000, and a couple years ago it sold for over 400. And it's just a little house with 4 bedrooms and 1 bath. So, you know, these numbers are they're really hard for us to.
We're struggling with broken.
Yeah,
And
it's
I can say the same thing for Waldo Cap
Yeah.
because I had, at our town meeting, we asked for information and they told us how much was expended in the town of Waldo and what they were asking for. And I said, you must be mistaken. You're quoting the county, not the town.
Mhm.
And they weren't. So, and I did a little quick math and what it was figuring for non-emergency medical transportation, they were charging $1,000 a trip. I said, sign me up. I'll go get them every single time. And as far as I'm concerned, they're done.
One of the things that helped us in dealing with organizations like them, with our out-of-house accounts, we went to a cap process
Mhm.
that we do 1% of whatever our budget is goes to out-of-house accounts, with the restriction that Searsport nonprofits come first.
Right.
Yeah, that's a
And
great
they
idea.
get the first piece of the pie, and then whatever is left, it goes to the budget advisory committee and they review it and
Mhm.
work it out with the selectmen. We go back and forth. And, it cut back a lot on what we had left over to go to cap. Because they were just getting so, I'm sorry, they were greedy.
Yeah.
When they couldn't tell me how many kids are in their Head Start program that are actually from Searsport, they couldn't even tell me that. You have a Head Start thing in Searsport, how many of those children in there are from Searsport? And they're like, well, we don't have that on hand. And I'm like, you know, if you can't tell me how many people you're serving out of this town, why should we give you any?
And well, and
I don't know.
I agree with
Not one of my favorite organizations. to
And
deal
I,
with.
and I agree with you. and I'm not saying this in any way disrespectful towards Belfast, because I love Belfast. When I grew up here in the '90s and 2000s, it's a totally different Belfast now.
Mhm.
Totally different. It's so much further ahead in good ways and in some bad ways, but in my opinion, respectfully. But it is like the educational system here is the best in the county. So it's like, how do I get resources out to Unity? Because I have to represent them too. And I'm not seeing any bang for that buck. And I think that that's the big thing for me is I want to see what our bang for our buck here is, but also I know how hard the 3 of you have worked when I was working as an employee for you. We did do as much as we could to save, you know, and it was so that when it came time, it did make your guys' life easier on this end. Because like, there can be a lot of wasteful spending, but then there's just spending that you have to do. You
You're
have
faced
to,
with an impossible
right,
task.
you have to have lights.
Yeah,
you
no,
have to
this
have
hasn't
heat.
been an enjoyable
Yeah, it's,
at all year
No.
for us.
and it's,
We need to move on.
yes.
So what is next is
Commissioner's
1020.
budget,
Yep.
which excitedly shows a 29.9% decrease. Which, once Tom gets his
We won't see
glasses
many
back
of
on
those.
and realizes that, actually, it's almost what it would be, end up being is probably a flat one. We've created another department, a Department of, Human Resource. So we pulled our human resources, person out. And what would be the normal office assistant, and the office assistant literally works part-time, 3 days a week. One day she works for finance, one day she works for Commissioner's Office, Barb, and one day she works for HR. And we put her under the Office of HR. So for the most part, when you look at our budget initially, it would basically be almost flat.
What is binding and rebinding?
So Barb does an incredible job, Tim, thank you for asking, on any of our old reports, whether they be the sheriff's department reports or court logs or anything else that the good Lord and the government says we have to keep for 100,000 years.
Yeah,
And you have to maintain them
Yeah.
and rebind them, but.
yeah, cause I remember, I don't know, maybe it was 6, 7 years ago, we had moved a bunch of stuff, documents. Were we able to move stuff over to more text friendly, or no? They have to still keep hard copy. There are so many years that you have to keep hard copies of stuff.
Yeah. Yes, especially if it's pre-1900,
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of box.
very much frowned upon.
Uh,
So you asked about that, but there's no money in it. Am I
well,
looking at the wrong page?
What, yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. There isn't, because, I mean, literally, this year, we're kind of like, oh my gosh, how bad do we need to do it and not, and
So you're
Barb is
not
trying to be
funding it.
very conscious of that. Yep,
Thank you.
yeah, no, definitely.
We try.
I know you do.
One little perk, and I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn or if Annette has this in her budget, but, our HR came to us with a program called the Alphon program. That's right, you know what I'm talking about, and they will reimburse employees up to $1,200 a year for any classes or trainings that we send them to, which has been most appreciated, because instead of, you know, if you spend $2,000 to send someone to a conference or something like that, and that could recover up to 1,200 of that back. So that's been really helpful and really good.
Any questions?
This 1021, this is a new account, is that,
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
okay. And so where were these before, just all over?
No,
Different-
these were actually back in the commissioner's
They were in the
budget,
commission-
everything
okay,
that
those are the ones in the-
Annette is trying to pull a
Yeah.
portion of what was our old budget
Mhm.
and put it into her budget.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
I don't know if there were other things added in there.
I think Philip Betty had talked about, perhaps down the road, putting, health, you know, the health insurance and stuff under the HR budget. I mean, she's actually the one
Yeah.
that deals with all of that.
Yeah.
But, that.
Well, of course, benefits and salaries is on the overview of the commissioners. That's one thing that the budget committee doesn't do. That's a job that we have to do.
Mhm.
I just wanted to mention that before we get into.
Can I ask about the advertising personnel lines.
Mhm. So that was taken out, and I believe Annette has put that in her HR budget. What that would be is, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know where all the humans went. And we have struggled for employees, and every time,
They're over in the hotels.
well, yeah.
Sorry.
Annette, if you could just jump up and explain to them, like, the cost every time you advertise for an employee's position on
Indeed, so we advertise primarily through Indeed, word of mouth, anything for free.
anything free, she's on.
You'll see posters in stores, for example, like bulletin boards, if you wanted to stop there at. But that would be through Indeed, and plus that also includes the, depending on the position which we're recruiting for, the sheriffs. It's a comprehensive background, which could include the background of having someone go out and actually do criminal background. And also for the sheriff specifically, they have a psychological and a polygraph, so that's where we put that all under recruitment.
So this is,
background.
that 4,000 is the budget for
So-
across,
So
across
it's
line
more
items.
than just putting it on Indeed then.
Correct.
Right.
That's everything that includes.
Cause a
and
background check's what, $375?
Yeah, 350
Yeah.
per person,
Oh.
and we don't do a psychological on every, if they come with a blue pen, they call already certified police officer. We do not do a psychological on them. However, if they are new, and we send them to the academy, we do that, but that's all inclusive. So really, when you think about, it, we have, I think it's 25 deputy sheriffs, roughly 25, 30. That's not too bad. I mean, we hired about 10, I think total 8 to 10 new for this year. And that's including 350 for every background. And then any Indeed posts that it included, the main criminal background, everything. So it's not too.
But the
you would wanna
Indeed
be able
posts
to-
themselves are pretty expensive, aren't
Yeah,
they?
and depending on how you post on Indeed too, determines how much it will cost you per post. For example, the comm center, depending on how we set it up with them, because we want to cast the net broader, we may have to pay a little bit more. So that's really not too bad considering how many we've had to hire this year as dispatchers too. And we haven't even created new positions, even for the dispatchers, it's all current, just filling the vacants that have
So,
happened this year.
so the amount then is only about 60%? The budget for next year versus what we spent, oh, no, closer to 50%.
So we did
I mean-
increase it a little bit, about 10% from what the commissioners had in their budget. And we did increase it because I did take the figures that we spent and then added them to the projecting. So we added 10% to.
It doesn't look like that to me.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The budget current year is 5,000 and the proposed budget is 4,000 and the actual current year is 7,779. Unless I'm
Also,
splitting apples and oranges, but
yeah, so I'm sorry. So are we looking at professional services or are
No.
we looking at advertising and?
Well,
advertising.
she's looking at
personnel.
advertising and that.
Yeah, okay, so I'm sorry.
Advertising personnel.
Yeah,
So 4,000, so if we had taken and added that to the advertising under the personnel for the commissioners, we took it right out completely. But then if we looked at the current budget year, the 2023 is 5,000, so I decreased it, if I'm looking at the same line as you are.
Yeah.
47,
right, that's what,
Yeah.
that's what she was trying to get at, so
Yeah,
you
so sorry.
decreased that
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, we decreased that one, but.
Yeah.
I was thinking of-
But it's been a very difficult year, we've hired, what, 8 new deputies and 4 or 5 dispatch and,
That's fine.
Right, because that was, my question was going to be, do you feel that the 4,000 is reasonable for what you expect to be, positions, not that you know,
No, well, I'm
who's
thinking
gonna
of
be
very
turning out to
positively
yes.
and
Yeah.
optimistically that our positions are full and that would be less.
Yeah.
But I just
Would you
didn't
rather
want us to go under budget in case the worst case scenario happens
No.
and with the increase of posting the job even.
Do you,
worst case scenario.
do you think that it could be is it still a requirement that you live in the county? That if you're working for the sheriff's department?
no,
No,
no.
I am more, good. I remember that, and I thought that I always kind of thought that it was kind of a restraint on us from.
No,
From
no,
being
it
able to
was.
broaden our search,
Yeah.
so,
Tim, it's like the virus made us rethink a lot of rules.
no,
Oh, yeah.
no.
Oh,
But you mentioned professional services and I
I'm
am
sorry, I
curious.
thought that was where we were going.
So
So
what
those-
are professional
Yes,
services?
so professional services, if I have to reach out to our employment attorney because we have a situation in which I need legal advice for, it would include that. It could include them, we're updating our handbook and then giving me their legal opinion on if I've covered everything in that. It would include paying them for that evaluation and analysis for that. So that would be. Professional services. And then the commissioners have their own, so I tried to pull out, tracking everything that we had spent to date during my tenure. And I tried to use that as a baseline, and so I pulled that out of the commissioner's budget and put it into mine, which was just specifically HR related. Great,
Thank you.
yeah. That's fine.
Any other questions?
What are we on, Tom? 1021?
Yep.
Okay. Again, this is a new budget that has been created. Any of the funding on it, you heard Annette say she's pulled out of what would have been the commissioner's budget.
So we've also moved over all of the capital outlay lines to the HR budget. I'm just curious, what is the capital outlay?
So, yeah, that's okay. So for my capital outlay, when I came up with that figure is including anything that I feel like for the office assistant that we have. We repurposed some old furniture and an old desk. And to get her up to speed with current monitors, it would include having, so I tried to budget for a new desk. And we're trying to repurpose them with all the shifting that's going around. So that would include possibly modifying or adding to some furniture that we can pillage from and move. And so that would include that. She needs a new monitor to go for to go to a bigger screen and adaptable for her to use. So that would include that. I think I only budgeted like 1,200 for that.
15.
15, okay. Yeah, there you go. So
Well,
that
there's-
would be just projecting that.
Oh,
So we could
okay.
plan on that. So that would have been new because she wouldn't have been, so some of it would have possibly been pulled out of the commissioner's outlay.
They don't have any.
They didn't have anything.
Yeah.
I'm brand new. I just checked that, so, but that was my reasoning for coming up with the 1,500, for work surface. Any.
Does Susan have a new computer now?
No, we repurposed one.
Mhm.
She still has the tower and this little tiny monitor. So I tried to budget that and getting her up to speed with some technology.
And what's the 2,000 above it? That's just capital outlay?
Oh, so I'm so sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the 1,500 would have been for the technology piece of her, a new
Yeah.
computer, new top monitor. The 2,000 would have been if I have to buy her a new desk, a new chair, and any equipment around that type of space. So I'm just projecting because we've been going to different buildings and trying to see what we can repurpose. So I'm doing my best not to have to spend any money, believe me. We took an old desk that she's using now. That's a beautiful old wood desk right here, but it was just just so big and working on a project is, it's just not enough space for it. And we, even just to share it, I'm doing my best to not spend money on something that, the cost of buying something is not to. And that would also, to just expand a little bit more, that would also include, like, for my office, for example. It's, some of it is required to have personnel files in a fireproof cabinet. And so I'm trying to repurpose one that we have been given to us over years ago, but I'm just struggling with it due to opening it and trying to use it. And so it also includes if I need to use that. But not that. So really I'm trying to repurpose that cabinet.
Anything else? One is finance, 10.5.
This year is the first year in 4 or 5 years that we actually have a treasurer.
Yeah, I heard.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? That office was vacant, for years and years. Owen Smith, who was the former director of the communications center,
Great choice.
was selected by the governor, and he is our treasurer. Understand the office of treasurer is just a kind of a titled office, if you will. All of the authority actually lies with this lady right here, finance director.
To be nice.
That's right. We remember that. But so nonetheless, you'll see Owen's salary and Carrie's salary. Office of Finance actually is showing a decrease in its department. Good Lord, I think it's the only department that has a decrease.
With having her, it's, you're gonna save a lot of money.
Where
Yeah.
is Carrie's salary?
It should be on the first page of your.
Yep.
Right, no, where, did you go to finance office?
2025.
It's 10.25.
Yeah.
Page 2.
Yep, you're looking at the page, ma'am.
Oh,
Okay.
I got it. I was
we initial-
conflating
we-
the two lines.
We,
The first line
Yeah.
is the treasurer's line, the
Yes.
second line is your.
Yep.
Gotcha.
as budget committee members, you folks have, unedited access. But we have learned over the years, because I mean, there is nothing in here that is like of strict confidence. Do you know what I mean? So as a courtesy to the employees, we don't put their names now, we do their
Right.
initials.
Yep.
We thought about, doing like, their pet names or their nicknames, but some of those weren't appropriate, so. And Carrie usually, Office of Finance usually splits with the commissioner's office, like the postage meter and stuff like that, so.
Oh, she's gonna save you a bunch of. She's good.
Yeah.
She's good at saving.
She already has saved us money, guys.
She waited like a year for a chair that like she should have had 3 years before that.
Well, she snagged my chair,
I told you.
and I told her as long as she stays, she can have it. But
And I sit in it proudly.
you do, you do. And again, I remind you guys, she'll answer any questions that she can, but she's 3 months in, so have some patience and bear with her, but it's a very solid budget.
Well, so I'm curious what the capital outlay is for the finance.
It would be office supplies if needed, office furniture, chairs, computers.
You're getting another chair?
No, I am not.
That's right, good
I have
job.
4. I have 4 in my office. I bounced
I
around.
would have bought you for it if you would have stayed.
Hey,
Now we see how it is.
2 are being repurposed.
Did they bring you Dunkin' Donuts?
Yes,
Yeah, so that,
the first,
You get
the-
donuts?
the first and
I'd bring
the
her hot
third
chocolate all
commission.
Good job.
we have an opening.
So does the capital outlay consist of anything else other than office furniture if needed?
I haven't used it yet, so that's my understanding of what capital outlay is furniture if needed.
Barb, were you gonna answer that?
I don't want, I didn't know if some of your software came out of that too.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, okay.
Well, it says that on the next page.
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
Yeah, it says
yes,
NES
financial software, hardware
hardware
licensing,
licensing, backup
backup
tapes,
tapes,
etc.
tapes.
Yeah. There is I looked right at it too, and
I didn't want you to think you were
Wow.
just
there
getting
is an
furniture.
explanation page.
They gave us an explanation so that we had 12 questions. Oh, no.
And not to really nitpick, but so that type of capital outlay wouldn't need to be in a 7,100 capital outlay technology line. Because it sounds like technology.
Right.
No, good point. Mhm.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it'd be more of an ergonomic workspace. Friendly and budgetable, and if anything,
Yeah.
to make the workplace more ergonomically friendly.
Yeah, no, we.
Find that some of
sounds
those departments that have very specific software, that's where it ends up coming, being put as in those capital outlay. Because not all departments need super specific software in this case, that's.
But that's a good point. I mean, we
Right,
can
but you would
change
think
the
that would be
the
in
heading on it,
technology
Yeah.
and
you know,
not.
in the future.
you know,
So we'll have, instead, we'll take some of that capital outlay that's specific for the technology. Like she said, and just create another line that is technology specific for that department.
So the other thing, not to put a negative spin, so not all capital outlay numbers are the same throughout every department.
Okay,
So bear that in mind, because you may see some different numbers in different departments. They're not thoroughly consistent through each department.
Good point. Good point, but I do like the making that specific say, you know, like technology.
But the problem is if you were cut down on the technology budget, you might be cutting some of those software programs that these.
No,
departments
no,
need.
no, we're not putting them in the budget, the technology budget. Good Lord, Jason's got enough. No, just making the line in
Oh,
this
I see.
department say that
Yeah,
it's
'cause that's what they
technology.
did.
Yeah,
That's
more
what the
descriptive.
information
Well,
is.
got it.
because capital outlay for office furniture is really kind of different than technology.
Ah.
That's-
So resemble what HR was doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? Moving on, information technology, Jim Kelly.
That's actually 1035.
Yeah.
It's
Typo on
ability.
my part. Right on that is.
And again, folks, I remind you that
Oh, so we're not.
in last year's technology budget, you only saw our director, Jason Bailey. And now we've added a part-time assistant. And we've also put all the cell phone technology into his department, so. Mary, it's 10:35.
Jason, do you want to come up front
Thank you.
and answer any questions?
Sure.
We can have a chair for you.
Well, all right.
Let's see.
I've got,
And a cookie.
I've got a little handout here, which is just, the commissioners asked me to put a list together of like computers that need replacement this year. And this is what I'm suggesting.
Thank you.
So that's that
this one
for
for
each of you. Yep. And I apologize about the folders. I was trying to recycle, so the tabs might say something like
Something,
county jail sentences or something like that, but that's not really what's in there. And as well, I don't know if I have enough for each one of you, but these are actually the last time we purchased computers in like was 2014, so.
How long have you been the IT person?
Going on, it'll be 4 years in February.
We're not still running Windows 7.
No, we're all on Windows 10. They have been upgraded past that, but still the same hardware.
That's pretty amazing.
Yep, yeah, they're chugging along, knock on wood. We've replaced about half of them, but these are the ones that still need to be replaced. And there is on this list, you'll notice that, on that list of replacement computers, you'll notice there are some price differences. The one down towards the bottom with like communication center, you'll notice are more expensive. They have like 5 or 6 monitors that they hook up to each computer, so those are more expensive. But there's also, with those ones, we do have a grant that we got for new furniture. And I believe there's going to be enough money in that grant for the new computers. Yeah, I'll explain that in a second there for you. So I believe there's enough money in that grant for new computers as well, but I want to include that just in case there isn't. So this is kind of worst case scenario.
When do you know what would the grant include?
He's got I believe he has the okay to actually purchase the furniture now. So he'll purchase the furniture and then we'll see how much money is left to see about the technology at that point. So I don't remember how much the grant was for. It's like 200.
There was 165,000.
Okay, yeah.
And
So
by furniture, because it seems like such a broad, we're all
Yeah.
picturing desks and chairs. These are for the dispatch, which is a 911 24-hour a day center. And they're stand and rise desks and
Ergonomics.
what, yeah, thank you,
Yes.
Mary. Ergonomic, but,
yes.
and then they'll all be, because I guess I'd never thought of it, like, there's ventilation, and everything else, because you forget you're standing there or sitting there for 12, 16 hours, and air circulation, everything else. So it is incredible, but Mike was able to secure a grant through King's office or
I
Collins.
think it was Collins and Golden, maybe.
Golden, yeah.
Yeah,
I all took a little credit.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, and the other, this piece of
Yes.
paper here that you got in your folder. So that was the other thing I was gonna tell you about is, so all law enforcement this upcoming July is required when they do traffic stops to start taking demographics information of their traffic stops. And it's what's called perceived demographics. So if they stop someone, they're supposed to take what they perceive the person's race, gender.
Now you know what this sounds like.
Yeah. And,
Oh, yeah.
and I didn't make this law, but anyway, they're asked to collect all of this information of what the person that they stopped to be.
Right, without asking.
Without asking,
Oh,
it's
boy.
what they perceive it to be, and they can't ask, and they have to collect all this information and we have to turn it into the state. So, it was supposed to go into effect this past July, but needless to say, there were some issues in trying to figure out how to handle this data. And there's still not a way to handle this data really well. And one of the ways to handle this data is, we use Motorola as a vendor for our CAD system. And one of the ways, I don't want to say I'm going to use the word the best way with our current system, is a product from Motorola called Spillman Mobile or Flex Mobile. It's not cheap, and that's where I've included the quote for you at the end. It's $120,000. That's what that is.
Yes.
That's not included in my budget, but I just wanted to throw that out there. That's a big project that we might have to take on this year if we can't find another way to do it.
State
but-
mandate, non-funded, pay
Yeah.
attention, folks.
But anyway.
Later with this one.
So we're getting an increase. Let me just get this right. We're getting an increase to profile people,
Yeah,
to add data.
Stereotype.
Right, because we were trained to not do this.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
throwing
yeah.
this out there, and even I have a degree on, going to school and not to do this.
Yep.
Credentials from the Maine Criminal Justice Academy to
Yeah.
not do this.
Yes.
And
And-
now we're doing this.
And if you,
Well,
and if
you're
you read-
guessing, you're
now if you-
guessing.
Yes, which is worse.
And again,
Right.
Worse.
if you read the title,
Yeah.
it's to eliminate profiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you're
And
profiling.
I'm just reading the title.
No, I know.
But again, you know, everybody
Please don't
pay
read anything
attention.
into my tone at all.
So somebody's come up with this idea in Augusta. This is called an unfunded mandate.
Yes, so anyway, I'm just throwing that out to you that,
How did this get through?
And again, you gotta
That's
ask
crazy.
why.
No, truthfully, why? For
What
And-
what?
difference does it make what gender somebody is, or if they're not a gender, or whatever they wanna be?
Right.
What difference does it make if they're running a stop sign?
yes.
You know,
and
But
it's,
I mean, and the position, I wouldn't do the job anyway. I wouldn't.
No.
But I would never want to be in that position to like, I
But-
don't know what, now you're gonna guess, and what if you guess wrong, or what? What-
But these little things are the reasons why it makes it so hard on your level when you're hiring.
Mhm.
Because you have to find people that are willing to take the risk.
Yeah,
and there's the
And
other thing,
these little things
all the
are
time
not.
that these officers are filling out all this paperwork afterwards, after the stop, they have to make this little check mark. You know, there's somebody out there laying in the street dying and
Yeah.
they can't get to them because they got
Well, and I-
paperwork.
I will be completely honest with you, we've tried to figure out another way to do this. And between myself and the sheriff's office and our comm center and speaking with other agencies, we can't find another way to do it that's really clean and a good way to handle it that meets the requirements.
It shouldn't even be a requirement.
The only other way that we could figure out to do it would be them giving this data over the radio to our comm center. And we're just like, that seems like that's opening a whole
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
can of
that's not
beans
good.
because you've got. That's just, people can listen to that and everything else like
but
that.
I mean,
and-
so this
so-
information is gonna be typed
Anyway,
into
that's-
Motorola, who reads it? Who's getting paid
Well, that's-
somewhere
yeah,
to
so-
get
We're not
their
paid to
this
put this through.
information? Yeah, no,
You
I mean,
know?
it's, I,
Do we
But-
already have?
yeah.
I hate.
Yes,
So
we
what
do.
are the
Yes, we do.
consequences of
Yes,
saying
right.
no?
Thank you,
That's-
Tom, 'cause that's what I said,
That's what I was-
don't do it. This is
It
stupid.
has to be
Right.
insecure.
And not only what are the consequences of saying no, if we can't say a no, what is the protections that we
Yes.
can give the law enforcement on their end?
We
Right.
tell them everybody is, named Tom and, whatever, it just, everybody's the same, I don't know.
Covered all of it.
I don't know, but I mean, that was my first
So-
response,
Because
like, this
we-
is just
and that's a good
stupid and
question,
it's costing us. Like Jason said, this isn't in our budget.
Yeah, yeah.
But the quote isn't only for the county too.
No, so it includes us, the county, Stockton Springs, Belfast, Islesboro, Searsport, and our communication center. And that is because the system we use, which is called Spillman, or it was, we host that system and all those agencies use it in the county.
But they're all county agencies. These
Yeah,
are all
so
our-
that would cover all of
Well-
those agencies at the same time.
The Belfast Police Department is a county agency.
No,
They're
it
in the-
falls under,
No,
it is
yeah.
within the county, so therefore.
Right.
Belfast is treated no differently than Searsport.
I-
or
No, I
something.
just meant that their budget is different though, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, they're their
So,
own.
so Belfast should absorb a portion of this cost.
That is,
Not picking on Belfast.
no, that is another question. Currently, they all use our Spillman CAD system. It's computer aided dispatch. They all use our system and the county pays for that system.
You gotta keep in mind too, that at one point they all were separate. And it was a nightmare to
Hmm.
communicate with each other. And by us all coming as the one, the communication was able to streamline. And that was a huge thing. Now, the county still has its issues with like state agencies with sharing information. Because the state doesn't like to communicate with the county.
Hmm.
But like. I know what you're saying about budget wise, should they be paying a portion, but they're also like, in a way.
They're the second largest county taxpayer in Waldo County. They
well,
are, so in a way, I mean, because we've all thought, should we charge all these agencies extra for it and this and that, and I mean, like Tim
And
said.
you gotta keep in mind too that. Belfast, when they do a traffic stop or when they're entering that information into Spillman for us, I don't know if it's changed since I've left. But me on the other end in the jail, I'm also able to add information so that we're able to communicate in a way that was never done before.
Right.
And they're able to see people, I don't know if they still can, like, let's say they need to go to Spillman to find somebody on pre-trial. Or, right.
Yeah.
There's just so much more there for layers to that onion that are more than budget.
I can't
But that
help
doesn't-
but see in the future, somebody's gonna stop me sooner or later for speeding. I know they are. And the first thing I'm gonna say to them, I'm gonna look them right in the eye and I'm gonna say, you better get my gender right.
That's right. And I'm gonna say to him that my hair isn't gray.
I thought you were gonna say you were an Alaska Native.
You better guess my age 5 years younger than I am.
That's right. But I mean, it is, but this is the stupid stuff, and you guys on a municipal level see enough of it, but now you see some of the stupid crap that we get.
It's just, what a waste of time and money.
Well, this looks like one of those things like they did with property tax. Oh, this is a great idea. And then a year later, they said, oh, this shit's impossible.
Oh shit, we can't pay for it.
Right.
Oops.
What was it you said? No.
Yeah, no, I know. I know, like I said, Tom, I mean, this is the stuff, we get the same stuff that you get. On a little higher level, and I'm grateful that Jason put this in there, because it's like,
Wow.
But going back to it on the other end for the patrolman. Do they have a protection?
do they? I don't know, do they?
You know what I mean? Like that's my big concern with this is because they're gonna be the.
Who
target.
rolls downhill?
They're gonna be the target.
That was why, when it first came at us, I was like, no, we're not doing it, because I don't wanna be the poor police officer that, I don't know, some Saturday night, you have a little too much tequila, you're wearing somebody's wig and a pair of nylons. I don't wanna be the guy that stops you and is like,
I gotta ask.
yeah, really, you know what I mean? It's just, to me, that's just setting people up for a suit. It just is.
Well, except that this sort of goes to pains to say there can't be any personally identifiable information collected, so.
But why
no
is it even necessary?
Right.
When I call in your license and registration, do you know what I mean? It's like, that's
Right.
enough.
Right.
That's
Which
enough.
already
Right.
hits on, well, maybe that's their control, maybe what they're trying to do is say, well, you know, no. I
No,
don't
they're
know,
just, they're trying to,
spitballing.
they're trying to,
Yeah.
they're trying to say that cops profile and stereotype people.
I didn't take it that way. I took it that they were trying to,
Even if they're trying to just cross-reference, I mean, you could just go
Yeah.
out and say we're cross-referencing here.
or maybe just if I know that I've got to be recording this information, I'm more aware of looking at you and saying to myself, are you
I'm sorry, but
Asian?
that doesn't.
That's not why I have it.
No, I don't mean saying it out loud. I mean. just
No, I know
thinking
what
in
you're
my
saying.
Mind, like,
And you gotta keep in mind, you've called into dispatch.
Yeah.
You have a recording device on you.
Right.
Like, you're asking for this person's identification card and proof of insurance.
Yeah.
How many more things do you need to identify this person before this person thinks that you're targeting? And
Yeah.
then, worst case scenario, they end up in our 72-hour hold. And I'm gonna sit there asking them about 45 questions about their health. And whether or not they're married and how their gender is and how they identify. I mean, this.
you have to ask them.
Oh, of course you do. Yes, you do. There's a Spillman tab where you open it up and it's a main names table. You take their information and there's their gender, and then there's like if they're gender non-conforming or how they identify.
Identify as a cat.
You actually.
I've seen
I
that.
hear you. I hear you. And I remember when we did the Spillman flex, we made it very. You could not put that in there. There was no cats.
There was no cats, you're out.
You had
I've
like
seen that though.
Don't,
Oh,
you
yeah,
had to
yeah.
hand type it in.
BIW saw it too. But, so
People
I,
like to fool around on stupid forms,
yeah,
you know?
but it's more work that
Yeah.
we're
That
putting
doesn't need to be
online.
done.
Well, and it also leads, it gives kind of that perception, it leads down that rabbit hole of like problems that aren't there.
Hmm.
And now we're creating problems. So. Yeah, we should move on.
Yeah, right.
It'd be nice if Bill would smile a little bit.
Bill doesn't know how he needs to identify to get home, because he might, there's construction,
Okay, so you already messed me up. That was 7:35, not 7:30.
yes.
10:35.
Yes, I'm sorry. Pay no attention to what I say.
Okay.
Jason, thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Or maybe not thank you.
1090?
Okay. 1090, which is the audit. That would be our finance ladies department. Oh.
So I did, well, you want the explanation or you just?
Give us the goods.
There is no good, unfortunately, the
Right.
audit
It
is
is what it is.
The audit's up,
Yeah.
it is what it is, I have no control over it.
That was quick and easy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, right?
Wow.
Okay, audit debt service.
No.
1095, look at that, guys, nothing. Believe it or not, I believe we are still the only county in the great state of Maine that has zero debt. We own everything. No, you own everything. That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
so
right.
that helps us sell it to our towns, say,
Well-
hey, but on the plus side.
Wait, you're really,
that's it.
this is gonna hurt, however, but no, we take.
Which would you rather?
Yeah.
You want the budget to be lower and you wanna go into
Uh,
debt?
But no, we don't have any debt. So that was an easy one. Interest, this is the scary one, guys. This is the one I talked to you guys ahead of time. In the budget, it shows a 2,531% increase in the budget. And again, we take a 10 note out every January 1st to operate. We asked for 19,000 from our budget committee last year. And I know that each and every one of us kept saying last year, don't you think we might need more? Don't you think? But I mean, who knew?
I remember
And
that.
January 2nd, we were notified that the interest payback was 265,000.
So can I add some extra information? So before I threw out a number of 375,000, I contacted the bank to say, hey, if we got a loan to TAN today, what would I be looking at as an interest rate? They were kind of reluctant to give me an answer because the interest rate
They
fluctuates.
don't know.
So, I was lucky and fortunate that she said, well, if you got one today, you'd be looking at 6.22% interest, is where that 300,000 came from, based on borrowing $5.5 million again. So that is where we're at, talking to Amy. We felt that 500,000, I think that's what is in.
Yeah, it is. But at this point, we've shot high because like Carrie said, I mean, she was figuring, like 300-something thousand from her conversation with the bank a month ago.
And
And
she,
we all know,
yeah, she said the bank said that, interest rates are just.
They're gonna go up another quarter point. next
well, yeah, so Tom, that's why we said 500,000. And pray to the good Lord, it isn't 500,000, but we don't know who knew
Is this variable or fixed?
fixed. I wouldn't dare go with a variable.
Well, interest rates are gonna crash. If you go and it's 5, can you refinance it later if you need to?
I can find out the answer for
If
you.
there's a
That's a good
penalty to
question.
that. It's because truly the feds are figuring out, well, they haven't figured it out yet, they're number of pounded thumb. Yes, I said that. And they're probably gonna go up again next month.
The problem is, in this country, the economy is too strong. Numbers keep coming back to upwards of 2.5% to 4.5% or 5%. And the idea is to slow things down, so slow the interest down, but
Right.
no, it's working just in reverse.
Well, it's complicated. It really truly is. And this is my subject. I follow this a
Yeah.
lot. We've had 2 major trucking companies file for bankruptcy in the last week in this country. Yellow and Hunt, both have gone under.
Oh, my.
Oh, wow.
And the Fed keeps looking at the set of numbers the way they want to look at it. So
Oh,
they-
sure,
Really, that's what it
Yeah,
basically
yeah, I
boils
agree
down
with
to.
you.
But when they say, oh, we've done enough quantitative tightening, we're gonna have to go to easing, And that's very likely gonna be the first quarter next year. Because it's not sustainable what they're doing.
So what we should,
They've strangled the animal and it's dead, but they haven't figured it out
Yeah.
yet. And when they figure it out, it's too late.
So-
They'll be going down like a rocket going up in reverse.
so one of the qualifications you're suggesting that we put in our request for TAN bids is that it potentially be a variable rate that is negotiable in the event that the rate changes?
If, I would say fixed if it was me, with no penalty for refinancing, for changing if rates go down.
Cause then that gives you the ability
Right.
to negotiate a better
Because,
rate.
and the banks are all about making money,
Uh-huh.
they're gonna penalize the snot out of you.
Yeah,
most
yeah, yeah.
likely If you refinance at a lower rate, that's why the banks are hurting so bad now,
Mhm.
is because they bought notes when they were at 1%. And that was generating their income, now they're at 5%, they can't get rid of the foolish things,
Yeah,
so they're stuck. That's why Morgan did, Diamond did what he did today.
Hmm.
And, the banks are just hurting terribly. And the feds can't bail them out. That's why the California bank, Fed didn't take them over at all. They sold the bank. And they didn't have anything to do with it. They don't have any money to bail anybody out.
Yeah,
It's a house of cards right now.
no, it truly is. Thank God I'm poor. No. Huh.
All right, sorry.
So that is our reason there. That is why that is so extreme and dramatic, and we are praying like you can't even imagine that we don't even get near that number, but in the event, after what happened this year, that's why that number is so extreme.
So are we able to find that out?
I will reach out to the bank and ask if we can do.
Which
fixed-
bank?
First National. Just know, Tim, there's a good chance she wouldn't put it in writing because she was very leery
Sure.
to give Carrie the information she did.
Yeah.
But this year, I think we might see a little more
One, and as long,
excitement because Camden National was our bank for years.
and as long
And
as
they
we're
just-
able to refinance at a lower rate, that's the big part.
Right.
But that would be something that I think we would put into our bid as part of the requirements. So, yeah.
I
Yeah,
like
wrote
going
down.
that, I like going fixed with a penalty, with
With
no
no
penalty.
penalty
for
for change.
finance. I'm a little more leery on the variable rate.
Right. I can't see it going up much further, but I'm conservative, I don't gamble.
Yeah. I,
Who knew we'd be where we are, you know? Shut up, Tom. Ah. 2025, health insurance, again, for the newbies. 12 years ago, we had a budget committee. That said, we're sick and tired of the incredible increases to health insurance. They said, we were paying we were asking for 1.2 million, and at that time, I think we had 60 something employees.
yeah,
We didn't even have the 90.
no,
We had like 60 employees. The increase that particular year, that last year, was 21%. It was obscene. And the budget committee members said to us, fix it, or we're cutting it next year. And they were serious. So, and I can't even believe I gotta say this word out loud because it makes me nuts, but we did. We formed a committee and we took two of our harshest critics from the budget committee. They were outstanding members, but we put them on the committee with us. And we interviewed everybody, Anthem and Blue Cross and Aetna and this and that. And we brought them all in and we had meetings. I don't think we even gave them cookies. And we decided that we were gonna step off a cliff and self-fund ourselves. And it was scary as hell, guys. Scary. It was a lot of work the first couple of years. If you looked at our insurance card right now, it says Aetna, but and we're doggone proud of it. We've worked really hard. We've got good employees, and make no mistake, we constantly remind them like, this is your insurance. So don't be sitting there drinking and smoking 45 cigarettes and this and that, because you're costing all of us, but I
Some
mean,
of the best health insurance in the county.
What's that?
It's the best health insurance.
No, it truly is. I mean, we have employees, Tim hasn't said it out loud, but Owen and some of the other employees that are long since gone are like, oh my God, I missed the
Yeah,
insurance.
that's what Walter said.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
That was, yeah.
it is. It's hands down, but I mean, we do our absolute best to keep the rates down and all the employees pay their portion, just like in the real world. And as I say, this year, this is one of the years, like Betty said, over the years, we should have increased it more. But this is one of the years that we've got to ask for an increase. But again, when we're back to 1.2 million after 12 years and 30 more employees, we have departments that aren't within our county that have asked to get on our insurance.
You know, when they're interviewing people, new people, which when they talk about insurance, yes, we're going to have your insurance, is what it is. Well, the other way, other place I'm interviewing, they have insurance too. But I'm telling you, this is a truthful statement with not stretching it a bit. Our insurance in general is probably half what everybody else is in Maine for employees. But when you're talking to people, to them, insurance is insurance. They don't consider that, like, it's only going to cost me so much a month for mine, and it cost me double or triple for the other company, but that's a fact. We do have good insurance. We have to raise the rate once in a while, but it's good insurance.
I remember before I left, it was $46 every other week for my contribution.
You were a single.
Yep.
Yep.
And it was some of the best family insurance around. And I'm gonna try not to get emotional, but one thing about our insurance that I think speaks the most is that when someone has cancer, our insurance goes the mile, even if they don't make it.
We have what's called stop loss, which is insurance that covers insurance that
And
in a
So
situation
it's
like,
capped.
so your initial is capped, but then there's another insurance that picks up.
Right.
Yeah. And just the amount of how good I can't speak of how good our insurance was, because we lost one of our corporals up at the jail, Matt, who was my boss and my best friend, and just to see how good it was unbelievable. So you can't put words to it.
It makes me wonder if are there economies of scale related to our self-insuring? Like you mentioned that there were towns that want to get in with us.
So here's the deal, and I'm not bashing MMA, which I'm sure the selectmen you're all very familiar with. The majority of towns and in counties, there's only 2 counties right now that self-insure, go through MMA. Because again, to get it started, it's a lot of work, and they're all like, yeah, we just don't have the time or whatever. So we'll go through MMA, and we can tell you that we review it every year. We sit down and show us some numbers, and the one other county that is self-insuring like us, their employees pay double or triple
Double.
the rates that our employees are asked, and their budget committee pays double what our ask is, and we're the same size. But they're just getting started, and they're trying to fund their insurance out of the gate, where we've got 12 years into it, and we should have been asking for a little more every year, but we didn't. But and MMA and Blue Cross and Aetna and all that are in business to make money. We're not.
Anytime you're paying shareholders.
Exactly. And see, that's the key with us is we're nonprofit, but we're not looking to make money off the employees or whatever.
You know,
So-
we should go to Cross tomorrow morning and say we want to insure 96 employees.
Oh,
I'm sure they'd look in the book and say that that'll be $2 million. I mean, it's a hell of a deal we got.
but
So
So
you're
as I said,
saying that it wouldn't be something where we could add, another 40.
What I've told other towns, truthfully, other bunch of committee members in the past have been like, how we get on this? And I've said to them, pull together your friends, your surrounding towns and see what you could come up with. Because one of the things that we've found is if there's over 50 on the policy, but under 100, that's how we manage to maintain the best.
So it is a disincentive for the county to go over the 96.
Yes, yeah.
Right, okay.
I mean, it won't penalize us that much. Truthfully, you want to get the young and the
Yeah.
active and the
The
healthy, you
ones
know what
that
I
can
mean?
make claims.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know,
That's
as I
what I'm
say,
thinking. I mean, we've got, all of our public safety in there, so if we had some towns where you just have, town
but that's what I mean.
administrators.
Years ago, Robin, we used to, no disrespect. Years ago, we used to have a group that was called the Kathy Littlefield Club. Kathy Littlefield, is she still a selectman?
Oh, yeah.
God bless her. In Waldo County. And Kathy would call together a meeting, and it was like a meeting of the God. And when Kathy called, like, you went. Didn't matter if you had a wedding. It didn't matter if it was your wedding. And you went. And we sat at more meetings there and round tabled and walked out of there, and it was like you got stuff done. And I've thought for the longest time, if Kathy Littlefield called a meeting and said to the towns, guys, let's at least throw some numbers out there and put some stuff in and see what we could come up with. Because I think you guys would be surprised if you had a bunch of towns that pooled together. How many do you insure, Mary? Do you know? That's a trick question. I'm sorry.
150-ish.
Oh, yes, see, she's out of
Well,
that.
you're a big city.
Yeah, you can't play
Big
it.
city.
Now, who's your insurance through?
Embarrassing.
No,
It's through MMA.
Yeah.
but,
see, and this is the thing, a lot of towns are, because it's just, I'm not downing them.
Yeah.
They've got a good gig.
Some of the problem too, we have to remember that, towns don't work well together. They have
That's right.
home control,
Hmm.
they don't want to regionalize. If they regionalize, they would be a lot better off. But it's home rule. And so why give that up? So they pay. So.
But to me, it's
some
kind of
point
dipping your
here-
toes in the water,
Right,
you know?
at some point here, some towns have to start working together. The big, and trucks and things that, for the road and highway,
There is a
for
move in that
ambulance and,
Well-
emergency service.
Move in that direction.
Need-
I know we're part of the Mid-Coast
Yeah,
Council of Government.
yeah, and
And I'm
people
not
on
sure-
this side are KV cog.
Oh, okay, so, I mean, it kind of destroys your own thing here, but, stop and think about it, but nobody wants to give up the home rule, and you can't blame them, there's very few states that have home rule, so.
But you're right, and I've had this conversation out in our parts. Do not be upset with me. Even with our fire department, we're the largest town around, surrounding. If we were to all team up, it would make things a lot easier cost wise, especially you throw public works departments in there. Right now, we just
Some
had.
of those.
Absolutely, we
Right,
just had Sullivan's, which is a major trash company for us, they just gave us a letter for termination because they got bankrupt. There's some major stuff that's happening and we are stronger together.
Say that
Yeah,
again. Sullivan's?
definitely.
I can
Oh.
show you the email if you want me to.
Yes.
So,
I would like to see that.
and the thing is, the law says, you only have to have a fire chief, you don't have to have the fire engine, you don't have
Correct.
to have the house, all that
Right.
stuff. Every time you buy an engine, it gets larger, and then you gotta build a new, firehouse, So, if some of this and the big equipment for road repair and everything, house in different places, and, you all pitching in. I have all kinds of solutions.
But just put that bug in Kathy's ear one of these days, because I would
There's already
gladly-
been talk about that.
I would gladly attend any of those meetings and offer any help that I could there, because it is it really was a great program.
Moving on.
Also, you'll see other increases in their, Maine State Retirement, MEPers. MEPers, their portion that we have to pay has increased on
Yeah.
that, so you see a significant increase there. FICA is really not significant, it's just, figuring for additional employees, workers' comp, that's increased.
No, the retirement part, does that fall underneath the 457?
No, and that's shaking her head no.
Now, that's just the contributions which we for the Waldo County pays for me for.
Okay.
The 457 plan is at 6,000 that employees. that
Right,
are using
that's-
to Shake Maine PERS or the retention.
Right.
457, that's 6,000, you say? So we do have some employees that do not join Maine PERS. For that.
I'm aware.
I'm really sorry, I have an 8 o'clock hard stop,
I'm sorry. No.
because I went by the agenda, which said 7:30, and I built a half hour on top of that, but
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna come to a hard
I
stop.
told you weren't gonna be happy with me.
Well, no, it's been really good conversation since this is my first time, I'm really enjoying the conversations,
Then
but
can,
I'm concerned about
when's the
the
next
next
meeting?
meetings.
Yeah, let's stop there and,
This is, yeah, that's important.
Tom, what are you folks' thoughts? Mary, what's a Saturday sound like for you? Robin?
You don't wanna do Friday nights?
No. No, I'll be honest with you, not because I have a life, but I don't like being out after dark.
So you're thinking during the day on a Saturday?
Usually
But
when we,
that would work well.
we do it, Robin, we try to do it like 10 o'clock in the morning. I know it sounds crazy. It
Yeah, it
initially
does.
did. And, but man, it works, cause you see, look at how long this has gone,
Mhm.
Mary, and, so usually the Saturday ones, we start at like 9 or even 10 o'clock for anybody that isn't up at 9 and, we'll provide, coffee and whatever and lunch. And usually we're out of there, like Bill said, at like 2. And then when you walk out of that meeting that day, usually like you've voted on each department. And then we'll come back 14 days later for the public hearing.
So how many meetings are there?
3.
3.
That's it?
Yes, that's wonderful. It used to be, Mary, it used to be 5 or 6 Friday night.
But this is one of 3.
Yeah,
This is
So
one
there's only 2 more.
Okay, so it's
Plus-
one Saturday,
You're doing
Plus-
great.
Saturday.
plus Saturdays, okay,
Yes.
okay.
How late can you make that Saturday and still put it in? Because I'm scheduled for surgery Tuesday.
Oh, start that.
Are you talking, well, what Saturday are we talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, what Saturday are we talking about?
Can we know?
yeah.
How extensive is your surgery? No. Can I wheel you
Can we
in?
nominate a vice chair?
I told you.
Now you're sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so let's look at a
We
calendar.
got 5 to pick from.
So currently, we are, where are we? We're here, the
Yes.
27th. We're the 27th right now. And Tom's having surgery just because everybody now knows Tom's public business
On the 31st.
on the, oh my God, on
Halloween surgery.
Halloween.
Yeah,
I hope you're okay. And
I
then,
hope I'm okay.
yeah, really. And then, so let's look at November. Okay, so November,
And then you have to have 2 weeks before the final.
yeah.
Yes.
When's the final?
Well, what he means
2
is.
weeks after that meeting.
Usually 2 weeks after that is when Barb schedules the public hearing. She has to have 10 days.
I have to have 10 days to get it noticed in the paper, but if you were to figure that out tonight, I could get that in.
So the 11th is Veterans Day.
And, yeah.
What if I suggest the 18th of November? I'll get whatever kind of muffins you want, Mary.
Visiting grandchildren is overrated, so I can be here that week.
No, I do get, but like I said, in years past, we've done like 4 and 5 Friday nights.
Yeah.
And it's like, you gotta be kidding me.
It
I don't
makes
even have a
long day.
life, and that was like, are you kidding me?
Okay, so we're doing this Saturday before Thanksgiving.
What is the 18th, Tom? Do you think?
I will probably be off drugs by then.
I don't know about you.
I'm not gonna be allowed to drive for 6 weeks. They're.
Well, we'll come get you.
I'll pick you up on my
I was
way.
gonna
Okay,
say,
I'll hold you to that.
there's your
I'll
ride.
drop off
They're
Jonas
cutting
and
my
I'll pick up
shoulder out
Granddad.
and replacing it.
Oh, rotacuff?
Whole shoulder, entire joint.
Oh.
You can be on pain meds. I don't
What
mind.
time are we gonna do the 18th?
So,
10.
10.
so
Before
10
Thanksgiving.
is,
We live close. It's you guys that drive farther.
You've got
So,
furthest to drive.
well, not so much you, right?
No, not me.
Yeah.
He likes to drive, you know.
so Mary, Robin, 10 o'clock on the
10.
18th?
Yeah.
10 o'clock on the 18th, and then Barb, what Barb's gonna do is schedule the public hearing, which will be December
December 2nd.
2nd.
You're
It's
gonna
in
do
the
that
middle
on
of
Saturday.
Christmas by the sea. But that's okay.
Well, we can always do the
What
public,
day-
wait a minute.
what day
We can always do the public hearing a Friday night. Barb, right?
Yeah. You mean like December 1st?
No, Jesus, play
There's
along with me.
What's the matter with December 1st?
Christmas by the Sea Parade in Camden at like.
Oh,
6 or
wow,
6:30.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll go with the second.
Oh,
No,
And there's.
What time
floats
on
and
the
all
second?
I
lights
thought
and
this was a Belfast thing. Never mind.
No, oh, sure.
Well, let's go with the second.
what time?
The second's fine, yeah.
10 o'clock again?
Do we want to do it 10 o'clock in the morning again?
Do the public like to come to 10 o'clock in the morning?
Does anybody ever come?
The public never comes. It's like your meeting.
Right.
But you have to say that. So if we did it at 10 o'clock, there's a good chance we'd be out of here by 11:30.
All right.
Then you could still go to your parade.
Oh, no, the parade is
Right.
Friday night.
Oh, well
That's
then,
why.
whatever.
Yeah.
Well, you
Okay.
wanna talk about sacrifices. Today is my mother's 82nd birthday.
Oh,
And instead of taking her out to dinner, I had to take her out to lunch today.
Do you wanna bring her to the public
You
hearing?
take her some, take her some cookies.
No.
Okay,
Happy birthday, Mom.
so Saturday the 2nd at 10 a.m.
Tom and I can pick you both up.
Yeah, actually, I was very thankful to have the.
December 2nd.
Okay,
10 o'clock.
yeah,
Okay, so November 18th. Tim, you're bringing Tom.
Yep.
Are you picking up Linda too? I don't know.
I'm thinking that she's gonna bring her mom.
Oh, no.
No, believe me, you do not want me to bring my mom.
Hey, for the record, my mom is 90.
Wow.
Yeah, and she is bad shit, but I love her dearly. And whatever, but
My mother's telling
We
everybody.
have to be careful, Bill, and
Talk
I
too
have
loud.
to play not in the middle of the week because
Yes.
our birthdays are there.
oh, see, now Betty's turned this into her birthday party
When's your birthday?
Mine's the 12th, his is 11,
yeah.
of December.
Oh, there
and
you
I'm
Oh,
a year
December,
older than he
okay.
is.
We'll have to have cake.
Birthday cake.
Well, yeah, really,
Put
we
that in.
used to do that. So does that help, Mary?
Good. And then there's another meeting after the public hearing.
No,
Okay. The
A public
public hearing
hearing.
is followed directly after by the final budget meeting.
Oh, okay.
They're done the same time.
Got it.
We only got
It's
two
got
more to
another
go.
day.
Ah,
We're 1/3 through this.
Well, no. The second one's long.
oh,
but they're giving us lunch.
Yeah, we'll bring coffee with
and
The
mom.
lunch was good.
Okay, so November 18th. Yep.
Mhm.
At 2 o'clock. At 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, yeah, where are you going?
And then December 2nd.
We'll be gone.
Yeah, really, at 10 o'clock, that's what I'm showing it. Okay, Mary, I
Adios.
apologize that. That we dragged on.
Sorry, but
No, don't be.
That's okay.
So let's go back and
Mary,
finish.
I was
the
very
other two.
excited when I
Yeah.
heard you were going to be here. I haven't seen it since Rotary.
I have one question. And please, nobody, don't take any offense. I just need
Oh, it's
to
gonna
ask
be a good
because it's new. So do the commissioners always agree to what the department requests are?
No, no, we aren't friends and allies with many,
Okay,
we're the bad guys.
okay, because the pages I've looked down through, they're all the same.
No, No. And not only departments do we go back and forth on, but as I say, then there's also some other organizations that. Yeah, I've struggled with. So, but that's where you guys will work through a lot of this, because like Commissioner Shorey said, there's always, there's two lines that you cannot touch. That's personnel, and that's benefits.
Right.
But in years past, I mean, we have gone back and forth over, well, yeah, in the jail, yeah. But we've gone back and forth over everything from capital outlay. How bad do you need a desk in that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, so there's always room for that, man.
Mhm. It just feels based on the information that started today. That there may be places that lockstep doesn't work this year. And because I haven't had a chance to really look at the background information at all.
Yeah.
You know, and they have questions for Carrie and just kind of wanted to know what the city budget is done totally differently, so.
I
this
am
is-
curious, as I say, to see how your practice goes. Cause I mean, we're always willing to,
We have a book of paperwork our binder is 6 inches or more thick.
Wow.
And it's line by line and I'm the budget hawk and
I like
I
that.
refer back to, I go 2 years back.
no, I have,
I line everything up and I come into the meeting with. And our department heads are there for about an hour and a half for each department. And line by line and a lot of conversation and it's
Mhm.
not lockstep. And so it's a little different, so I understand that, you know, yeah. So
Yeah.
I needed to ask that question.
yep, no, absolutely, absolutely.
No offense.
And none taken. And again, like I said, I mean, I saw you had the highlighters. Now I'm
Yeah,
always teased because I have my highlighters.
I-
Because it's like, you know, that $1,000 here, $1,000 there, that adds up.
Nickels and dimes. I'm a nickel and dime person.
Yeah, no, we're bean counters, so, yeah, so I appreciate that.
Well, they've been very draconian in the next two that you're leaving before we get
The
to.
zeros.
They're zeros,
That's
yeah.
why I said.
Yeah, really. Good timing, Mary.
Okay, I'll leave my schedule wide open for the next long one.
That's right. We'll see you then. If you have any questions, you know you can call us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you. Have a good weekend.
Yes, you as well. 2040. Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
I don't like what you said.
And again, for specifically for Robin and Tim, historically in years past, records preservation, I mean, Barb has done an extraordinary job trying to preserve our old records, your old records. And a lot of them were stored in the mold infested, you know, cellars here and there and wherever. So of course she's had to have them rebinded and re-cleaned and detoxified and everything else. And this was literally one of those areas where it's like, no, this should
No, right.
just,
We can manage.
And you are a person that we could ask tips of as far as cleaning our own moldy
oh
documents.
my gosh, she's the archive queen. So she'll give you the name of a good guy.
Yeah, it's a lot to it. And actually, the commissioners, hired back through a grant back in from 2003 to 2006. So I really can't take credit. They hired a woman who had gone to school for this, who took the things out of the basement, set it up. So it was a good model that I, can follow. So, she was the one with a lot of knowledge, but she tried to pass some of that on. But things are taken care of. We're just not gonna,
Right.
not gonna do anything extra that can't wait.
Next. Reserves.
What is severance and assistance? That's
When
reserves.
when an
When they
employee,
leave, that is
yeah,
severance.
when an
okay.
employee leaves. And that, I see you're up.
Oh,
And
that's
that-
just 'cause I
and that
like to
would-
stand,
would
it's
be
all.
able to-
Sorry, I was
yeah.
sitting too
Oh,
low,
she's
but-
tired, never mind.
No, if you have a question, but I was just.
Gonna make a run for the door.
Do we,
I can't say I
Meeting like
apologize.
the meeting was over.
Yeah, really.
so with, I know we're not funding it this year, but is there a fund for severance and assistance? And so this is like the budget each year goes into a fund and we're just not putting a contribution in.
We do have a separate account that is specific for severance. And literally you need a long-term employee that's been with us, 10+ years. That then they leave and, you owe them.
Right, but I'm just asking, so we do have
We have
a
a separate-
a separate fund.
Yeah.
So I gave you a reserves spreadsheet, there's. Yes. And that's,
Oh, that's this
you.
one. Okay,
Yes,
got it.
Yep. So you'll see the piano brown is what the,
Okay,
it is as
funding.
of October 4th, I think it was. Those are our current balances in our reserves, and severance would be one of them.
oh, it says 154 there and 254 here. I see what you mean about the numbers too. But, okay. So this is saying that we've got 55,000 in the account.
Yes.
In the
As of
fund,
that day, yes,
as of October 4th.
yes.
So there's 259,000 in a reserve fund for future technology.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
What is Waldo County Health?
That would be our health insurance fund.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's cool that you picked that up. What is the number on that currently today?
565,000 basically.
Okay, I'm just gonna give you an example. That looks awesome, doesn't it? You're thinking.
Well,
that's
no,
awesome.
I mean, one
So,
catastrophic.
I was
medical
gonna say,
thing,
one-
there's a lot of-
One heart attack is
Mhm.
190,000, boom, spread out over others. It would be nothing to have, someone with a long-term illness, 750,000. You know what I mean? So what's scary is that's probably the lowest I've seen that number
oh, yeah.
in years, and
I have to say, I work in healthcare and my first thought when I saw that was, that's a really low number.
what, yeah, no, seriously.
How does that work where you're self-funded? You guys don't sit down and actually dicker with an individual hospital?
No, we have an associate that
It
is
does
the
that.
one that negotiates, like, no, this is what we're gonna pay you for this and whatever. And it goes from there, but there's still certain claims that you negotiate that then get pulled out, so Carrie could come in tomorrow morning thinking we have 524, and we could have two bills that were just pulled out of it for 82,000 and whatever.
So it really fluctuates daily, because I do look at the account often, if not daily, and 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 120,000, I mean, it fluctuates.
Ideally, they tell us, ideally, you wanna have 1.2 million sitting in that account. Yeah, I would, I'd love that, but
Oh,
it hasn't happened yet, and thank God, we're still treading water, we're doing good, but it's scary. That's why you want everybody healthy, happy,
Young, working out. and-
yeah, really. We pay gym membership, so.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
We
that.
will do whatever, we have a wellness committee and Betty and our HR on that, and I mean, so we do, there's a reason that. But then there's stuff that still happens,
Statistically, the majority of a person's medical bills come in their last year.
No,
If I start getting a bunch of them, I better get. three.
well, you're really, I'm thinking, Jesus, I just had a couple. Thanks, Tom. Really, good luck Tuesday,
Yeah, thanks.
but,
I have good insurance. I'm expecting this surgery, my total bill should be about $20.
Wow.
well, that's incredible. Well, I'll give you an example. I had a knee replacement 8 years ago. Doesn't seem possible. It was 8 years ago. And cause I mean, that's one of the cool things. You actually see the bills. And the bill was like 49,000 and change. And, I think it ended up costing me like 225. But I can tell you, when I had a dairy farm for years, I didn't have health insurance.
Probably with the size we are, that insurance balance should probably be $1.5 million. And that would be somewhere near even water. But when it's down like 565, you have to think about that every night before you go to sleep. What do we have coming in for bills? That could
That
go
could
down
change
to
overnight.
100 or 50 right off quick.
I mean, it's a gamble, and that's why a lot of people don't self-fund. Because it is a gamble. Or I know of another very large business in Maine that is a private business that self-insures. And there's stipulations, because when you're self-insured, we're the insurance company, like we make the rules. And some of their rules, I'm thinking, our employees would never put up with. You'll have a physical this year and you're gonna send me the information, so I know. And if you have high cholesterol, if you have diabetes, if you smoke, I'm gonna try. And I mean, that we don't do that.
Those are all just dollar incentives.
Right,
Right.
but there's a lot of companies that, they do that, and that's the reason. I didn't mean to pick on you.
No, it's all good.
Don't be taking them personally. But,
Well, so I'm fairly ignorant about county finances, but
yeah, no, you're
but
not.
what are any of these restricted in such a way that we cannot use some of the money towards this year's budget? Like we've been talking about, like the communications or the future technology stuck in my head just because we've been talking about, upgrading computers and things. And since we've got a year with this interest rate spike that's changing, really putting pressure, can we take some of this money from available funds to help fund
Well,
those
understand
line
the
items?
information that Jason, our IT director, gave you wasn't coming from his budget. He wasn't asking you, that wasn't asked out of his budget. What that was a heads up. Jason, stop me if I'm
You're
wrong.
talking about the 120,000?
But that was
I wasn't
a heads up to you that this is what
Right.
the costs were gonna be. And most likely he's anticipating taking those from technology.
Most likely, also that future technology, is part of the Knox. Some of that money came from Knox, and that's, part of that project as well. When we signed that contract with Knox, they paid for some technology upgrades, for us as well, and we've put in a new, phone recorder for the comm center because they're taking double the number of 911 calls. So we got that in, we just haven't had to pay for it yet. And we're also putting in a new phone system because, so the Knox County takes about the same number of 911 calls that Waldo County does. So by not taking their 911 calls, we've about doubled the number of 911 calls. And one of our concerns was that our staff we didn't want to transfer their problems to our staff and have our staff burn out. Currently, our comm center or our 911 staff is also for lack of better terms, they're the operators of our phone system. So if you call up the sheriff's office, the jail, they answer the phone and redirect those calls. So our phone system currently up at that complex is from, I think, 2001, 2002. So it's getting pretty long in the tooth, so to speak. There was the possibility that we could put a phone tree on it, but it's rebooted itself on its own probably 6 to 7 times this year, and it's come back up luckily, but we didn't want to try to program it from the start. So one of our stipulations with Knox was we needed some upgrades for our own equipment. And one of those is putting a new phone system in, so we can put in an automated tree. If our 911 staff gets too overwhelmed, whether it's a, snowstorm or a hurricane or anything else like that, they can switch it over to this automated system so they can concentrate on the 911 calls. And the normal business lines can just go to an automated system to take that level of stress off from them. So, and I don't remember what that number was that Knox paid, but that's fairly, I don't know if it's a large chunk that's in that future technology account, but that's kind of already been spent.
Well, because there's also the other line that's communications equipment improvement.
So.
Yeah, that I don't.
Can I speak about capital reserves? So typically capital reserve is specified for that particular purpose. And those funds can't be used other than what they are specified for. So future technology is future technology, can't be used to finance a desk.
No, I wasn't thinking of the desk,
Oh,
but
but
no, well,
I'm
that was
just
why I was
giving it a-
asking about how were they restricted?
They are
Um,
restricted to be used for the
because-
purpose in which they are indicated for.
That
When the
money
money
would
was,
move
So
3 years ago,
severance, severance
the
is
towers
a,
that have to be built and maintained and improved. And something goes on all the time, we're looking for new towers to get a better reception, or get a reception, all parts of the county that's equal. So, while you mentioned in that, I would like to mention, at this time, of the government money we got, $2 million went into the comm center for upgrades that the Waldo County taxpayers didn't have to pay.
But I think I think we're getting distracted, and I apologize for that, Robin, because I think your question basically was, can we use some of this to cut this budget down?
yes,
and-
that was my question.
And with regards to technology, I think Jason was just trying to highlight and show you some of the expenditures that would come behind the scenes, that would come from some of these accounts. And Commissioner Shorey, when we saw what was going on with the power bills, remember?
Yeah.
Because guys, I mean, you see, overnight, all of a sudden, it was like they were triple.
Yeah.
And Bill was like, we need to take some, so we took money out of, future land and buildings, facilities, all other. We took 75,000 out of that and swept it into our general fund just to help. Because if everybody's power bills, we're gonna run everything in the red. So I mean, can we save ourselves with some of it? Some of it we already do currently. And that's why we don't ask. That's why we don't ask. We're not asking for you guys to fund any of our reserves. In years past, there's been significant amounts.
Like we had started back in the days when Jim Arsenal used to be with us in technology. He would say, well, in 5 years, it's gonna cost you this much. Well, did we do? We put a little money aside every year and got that fund up to
Yeah.
300,000-400,000. So we don't have to come to the budget committee and say, hey, we got a $400,000 bill to, we gotta fund this year.
This is pretty much what we did in Lincolnville, several years ago when I was on the budget committee. We set up reserves. You have to buy a new fire engine.
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
we're still doing that.
Right,
Yeah.
every year you have money
Yeah.
in there, so, when it comes to buying it, then you have the money. So this is a little bit of what, the reserves are here for us too.
Are there many vacant personnel openings in the county?
Are you looking for a job?
No,
Well, and that's actually was, go ahead and
There's-
ask your question, because I have a similar question.
Currently, we're advertising, and that lady behind you is who you want to talk to. Currently, we're advertising for what, January, now,
Yes.
right, for a facilities assistant.
Facilities technician. And we have
We're full staffed in the sheriff's
One-
department and the jail and the,
Yeah, so there's
Comm
one in the comm center
Comm
that's
center, we got
vacant, we haven't
one.
posted that yet, so there's one vacancy there, then we have the facilities technician, which is full-time that we have vacant. And we have a deputy director at the comm center that's vacant, that we're posting, recruiting for, so there's 3 positions
But with your bum shoulder.
Are their salaries figured into the budget as if they were,
Yes,
positions were filled?
yes.
Yes, they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
If, like, I can give you, so the facilities technician became vacant this year, so we're recruiting for it with the start date of January 8th. And we're recruiting that in the dispatch because of, we have two currently we hired back 2 months ago, they're in training, so we'll start posting at the end of the year to fill the vacancy for the dispatcher for next year. But they all are current active positions that have been recently vacated.
What were you gonna say?
So I guess my question is, if we're now taking on Knox County's calls. And they're having the same amount of emergency service calls that Waldo County has. What have we done on our end, on our county? To make sure that we're not putting extra stress on our personnel? Because they're now getting double the workload with unfamiliar territory. And I understand that we've received money, which makes the technology better. But it's different when you know you're 25 towns in one state.
Knox is paying a special stipend for us to do that. There are
To
employees.
employees.
Okay,
And,
so they're getting, 1 second, Jason.
yeah, sorry.
So they're getting compensated extra to do. Okay,
But it's still impacting them, though. And especially with the state police is now. I don't remember the terminology they use.
well, and that's where, actually, that's where I was getting ready to go with it. Yeah, I was gonna ask, how is that affecting our call sharing?
The state police folks have been pulling out of here for 10 years.
10
We've known
years.
they're going.
Right.
So I mean, we've been
covering it
wise.
Pretty well.
If you remember, and Tom and Linda, you've been on long enough. I mean, every year we've kind of like added another deputy, added 2 deputies, whatever. So we're not sitting. I mean, I read an article that what Washington and Penobscot were like completely flipping out. And it kind of irked me because it's like, it's no news flash. We've known this. We've been anticipating and
Especially
planning.
Washington County should have known that.
Well, yeah, their chief, sheriff was a retired state police. But Jason, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So with the Knox 911 calls, we are taking those 911 calls, and by we, I mean the comm center. I take no credit for that. Knox County is still dispatching those calls. They're still contacting all of their EMS services and everything else like that. So we take the calls, we put it in our Stillman system. Knox has access to that, to just their calls.
Yep.
They then copy and paste it into their Stillman system, get all their geo-base, all their call history and everything else like that, and then they get on the radio out to their services.
Okay.
So.
So it's just a relay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yep, so that was the agreement we worked out, because again, they
Well-
dispatch their own way, they have their own,
And,
you know.
and the reason why I bring it up is similar to what your question was earlier about if the communication part of it is that you have us taking the call and then we're relaying it to another county. There was a huge communication issue when all these police departments had separate identities, and having the one system made it easier. So I just wanted to know what the stress and the
Yeah.
wear and tear on our employees, because that's who we should
Oh, yeah.
be thinking
Yeah.
of, is on their end.
Yep.
So,
Well, I think if I've heard the expression, comment. Well, from some employees up there that. We've probably gotta do this for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months or something like that. But they say that at least, I hope it'll last till the winter. Because of extra money really.
the stipend.
Well, they're happy in that regard.
With the stipend too, Tim, we are billing Knox for that stipend, so that's not coming out of our budget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we
any
don't.
directly related costs like overtime, if it's incurred, we're billing Knox for that.
It's just,
I think I was more concerned about on the other end of it, making sure that the employees were getting something, because they're the ones taking on the stress.
well, remember, they're all union. So I mean, they have to sign off and agree, and we're also billing Knox for corrections officers at their facility, because we're still like staffing.
I understand. I understand that they're still union, but at the end of the day. they're still-
And I didn't mean just
they're still
respectfully
our
the union, but
employees.
I mean,
Yeah,
before we agreed to anything with Knox County,
yeah.
you know, it had to be vetted through there.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying from my world. I'm always looking for employees morale and trying to make sure that they're not doing more and building them out emotionally and physically, the strain, the stress of all of that. And the director is awesome. He's been very aware of it. We have 2 supervisors that are still very keeping in touch. And because we just did hire at the same time 2 new dispatchers, so they're more fully staffed to be able to take on some of that, not take on so much of a burden, wear them out. That was very much, the commissioner was very concerned about that.
And we did.
No disrespect was taken. And to clarify on the record, that during my term, we all had very high respect of our commissioners. The communication there is, we've always been known of having a very good relationship with our commissioners. And knowing that in the past that we've had commissioners that have always backed our employees, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
So-
oh, no, 100%.
Are you just trying to set the record straight because you're afraid when you drive home, you might be stalking profile?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm not afraid. Because the only person I'm gonna get profiled is probably from state police on our end. Because I haven't seen any sheriff's office in years. Besides Mike Curtis, who I am scared. So,
All right then. No.
Any other last minute questions?
You ran a good meeting. I mean, I think I felt bad for Mary, but I think a lot of stuff gets vetted and that's what's needed. I appreciate that. I'm grateful you got Linda kicking you under the table. I did see it a couple times. I wasn't gonna say anything. So,
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah. Motion to
all in
adjourn.
favor? Ah,
Second,
Oh, second.
indisputable, let's go.
all right. Tom, best of luck.
Yes.
I'd be happy to die on the table.
Stop.